Hey everybody, how is it going today? Well, I haven't done a TSNP video in several days, and since my last video, it has made a substantial move up. So I want to go over that recent price action and give you my thoughts on what could be happening next. And then as always, I have some other nice looking chart patterns that I want to show you guys that could be leading to decent trades in the next couple of days. So make sure you stick around for those as well. Now, if you're new to my channel, I like to find short-term and long-term trading opportunities in typically lower-priced stocks. Not only will I talk about the featured stock in the video, but I also try to present at least a couple other nice-looking tradable opportunities that are happening currently in the market. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future trading ideas. But please remember, I am not a financial advisor, so please do all of your own research before buying any of these stocks. Alright guys, well, I didn't see any substantial new news on TSNP, so I'm just going to get right into the charts. This is the daily chart of Tesoro Enterprises, and as we can see, yesterday it had the massive up day off of this 8-period exponential moving average, and this is intraday right now when I'm doing this video, but it had a gap up, and it is holding that gap up, so the fact that we're getting some follow-through after this big green day and we're not seeing any substantial selling as of yet is a very bullish sign, and you would have to expect to see some resistance right here anyway, especially since the move is already extended and you're coming right up on that all-time high resistance, and you know, a lot of people see that on the chart, so probably a lot of people who have been holding for a while, like say if somebody bought down here and then it had this big move up, and then they watched most of their profits evaporate. A lot of those people tell themselves, hey, if it ever gets near that new high, I'm going to take profit on it, you know, if they're not a super long-term holder. And that's just the psychology of why you see you know, resistance at old highs. Usually it's not too thick, but it'll usually stop a stock in its tracks for about a day or so. You usually don't see, I typically don't see double tops come in like this, so I wouldn't be too worried from this day's action that we have a double top coming in. Of course, anything can happen, but I think the you know, the characteristics of this chart at the moment still look really bullish. I would like to have seen a little bit more volume than this come in, but the fact that you know, it's kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call it like a catch-22 or whatever, but it's kind of like you'd like to see more volume, but then also the fact that it only took this amount of volume to push it up this much yesterday is also a good sign, because there's not much selling up there. So I mean, you can kind of play both sides of that argument, but I do like to see bigger volume coming through. It makes me think that there's going to be more buying pressure that can send it to a new high when volume is a little bit higher. But still a very bullish chart. Let's look intraday real quick, because I talked about this area quite a bit in old videos and then the breakout, but I just want to show you guys a closer look at it. All right, well, jumping over to the 15-minute chart, we can I still have that resistance box drawn up there, but if we zoom in just a little bit closer, this was the long consolidation that lasted for about 8 days or so, which is pretty unusual. Then when I zoom in a little closer, you can see how it started to accelerate. You know, and I talked about in old videos, when you get these long consolidations, what you want to do is go intraday and see which way it is leaning, so it gives you a better idea of where the stock could be going next. And this one was obviously leaning towards the upside, and that's exactly what happened. We had our break to the upside, and then it started leveling up, and then we got into the trend acceleration phase of it, where it had the gap up, pull back to the 8-period exponential moving average on the 15-minute chart, and just held that moving average. This is the fast trend moving average. So if you're ever in a fast trend, make sure you put that 8-period exponential moving average on it. Whether you're a day trader, you know, a weekly trader, just trading on the daily charts, it works on pretty much every single time frame. This is probably the most valuable tool I have in my trading arsenal. But once it gaps up, starts holding that 8-period exponential moving average. It keeps finding support at it, and then you just had that big move up, and now it is gapping up into that resistance. And at the moment, on the 15-minute chart, it is actually pulling back to the 8-period exponential moving average. So it's going to be interesting to see how it reacts there. If it did break this moving average at this point, since it's so extended, I mean, that wouldn't be the end of the world. Just because, a stock doesn't go up in a straight line. It's going to pull back. So the fact that it's at it right now, that's pretty interesting, and I'm going to be watching it. But those are my current thoughts on TSNP. If I had to predict what was going to happen from here, let me go back to the daily chart real quick. All right, well, heading back over to the daily chart, if I had to guess what the next move is going to be, I would think that it's probably going to be something very similar to this right here. I think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback, and once this moving average catches up to it, judging by this chart pattern, I would expect another leg up, just because this price formation is so bullish. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, this could be kind of like a bull trap. So I would just wait to see how it reacts to this moving average. When this moving average catches up and it gives it another slingshot move up like it did here, then I think we could be off to the races on to the upside. And judging by all of this price action, I would say this price prediction is probably the most likely scenario. I think it's an extremely bullish price pattern. So if you had to ask me which way I think it's going up after this. But that is just my opinion. I have no idea where this thing is going to go. That's just a guess. But super bullish looking chart pattern at the moment. But let's get into some other opportunities. All right, well, the first one I want to show you is one that we talked about yesterday. It's INUV. I mean, this thing is still super strong. A couple of guys on the Patreon were talking about this one, and we can see this huge move that it's having, and it is up big again today. And what do you want to look for when you see stocks like this? We got to back it up a little bit here so we can get rid of those big up days. Let me get back a little bit more. Okay. What you want is a nice rounding bottom. And what you want to accompany it, I had to back out so you could see these green volume bars. You can see all this accumulation that's coming in to this stock. Once you see these big green spikes, that's telling you it's being accumulated. When you start seeing huge red spikes that outnumber the green spikes, then you know it's under distribution. But when a stock is going sideways like this and starts to round up, and you have all this other evidence that it is being accumulated, then the chances are pretty good you could be having a big move up. And I'll fast forward a little bit so we can see what happened, but we all know what happened. But I just wanted to take these big green bars out of the way, because once you add these green bars into the volume panel, you can't even hardly see the other ones, because these big green bars that we're piling in are much larger. But this is a very nice looking chart. It's probably going to be pulling it back a little bit from here, but I'm very interested to see how it reacts to this 8-period exponential moving average. If it can hold it, I think we have another move coming to the upside, probably in another week or so, but this one is definitely worth watching. And the other one that we talked about was NDRA. We can see NDRA is having a big up move, even though it is selling off right now. So this could be the top, but this one, the same thing goes. What you want to do is be watching how it reacts to this 8-period exponential moving average to know whether it's going to be one of those stocks that have another leg up or not. But I just want to touch base on those real quick. Let's get into the next one that I want to talk about. All right, well, the first opportunity that I want to talk about looks like it could just be starting to take off, or could be taking off real soon, is CIDM. You can see this one is having a beautiful rounding bottom, and it's starting to round up and get over all of these major moving averages, which of course that is the first step. You have the volume down here, so you know it's under accumulation. So that's another box that needs checked if you want a potential low price stock that is going to start screaming higher. Now, if we back out just a little bit here, we can see this huge gap up that it had back in June, and it has since sold off. So this is the quiet time. This is usually when Everybody that was interested here ends up just going by the wayside, selling out of their position. And once they are all gone, then it can start rounding up again and start the next move. But CIDM looks like it is definitely one worth watching. Keep it on our list just to see if it continues to build momentum, because this foundation that it's already laid looks very bullish for a potential move up in the next few days to few weeks. So definitely put CIDM on your radar. All right, the next one I want to talk about is RETO, and this one is actually selling off just a little bit since I put it on my list. A lot of times when a stock starts to break out, it'll kind of meander sideways to down in the middle of the day, which we are in right now, but then it will end the day strong, and that's what I need to see. If it ends the day below the high of the previous day, I'm not going to feel so excited about RETO. But it's still intraday, so anything could happen. But we can see that it is up to 2.5 million shares traded already, so it's well above average volume, and that was looking really good when it was breaking out of this resistance area on big volume. So that was definitely what I wanted to see. But this is not too big of a deal. Hopefully, some more buying comes in towards the end of the day. But RETO is exhibiting that nice pattern that I love to see when a stock is bottoming and potentially starting to head higher. I think we can all agree that a nice round bottom is a beautiful thing, especially in chart patterns. But I think RETO is certainly worth watching. I'm going to watch and see how it ends the day. Like I said, if it closes below the high, let's call it, if it closes below 94 cents, it's probably not going to be as strong of a move as I first thought when I put it on here, but it's certainly worth watching, and it's still at 99 cents. I mean, it's still quite a bit a ways above that right now. So RETO is certainly still worth watching, even if it does close below the high of the previous day. As long as it meanders around and hangs above that 8-period exponential moving average, there's still a great chance that it's going to be moving higher. This is kind of splitting hairs, because you got this great chart formation that took many months to form. And that's one thing I don't like to do, is try to split hairs with one day. When you have this nice chart pattern that's forming a very bullish foundation that took months to years, you try not to get too caught up on one day's action, because you could pick any day through this rounded bottom formation and say, oh, this was a failure, this was a failure, this was a failure. But when you look back at all of the days together, it's still a very bullish pattern. So RETO is definitely worth keeping on your watch list, because I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this thing starts moving higher real soon. Let's get to the next one. All right, the last one I want to talk about is IDEX. This one was very popular several months ago, so probably most of you have already heard about this one, but it is making a very bullish triangle formation at the moment. It's hanging above that 8-period exponential moving average, so it tells us that we are in the midst of a fast uptrend. So all we need now is some more support at that moving average to give it that next slingshot move up, and I think this one has a lot of potential to be making a new all-time high. I think if we get some support from this 8-period exponential moving average in the next day or so, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it takes out the old high from 475 about a month and a half or so ago. But IDEX looks like it is coiling up very nicely. Let's go intraday and take a closer look at this recent consolidation. All right, well, jumping to the hourly chart, we can see this triangle formation a little bit clearer. We can see that the lows are certainly rising up just like we want to see, and it is forming a nice compression. So some kind of price explosion out of this compression is very likely. Now, whether it's going to be up or down is anybody's guess. If I had to guess, the way it is looking on the daily chart, it is probably going to be to the upside, because we are getting this nice round bottom as the lows are starting to rise. And of course, this area we had some selling, obviously, because the last two peaks coincided with this area that's right around 360 to call it 380. So there's some sellers that are living up there, but they are running out of steam because price is still starting to put pressure on that area. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the next move, in fact, I think odds favor that the next move next move is going to be to the upside. But this stock is coiling up very nicely, and I might be buying some of this today, just anticipating this potential move up, because the risk reward at this point, probably if it breaks this support area right around 273, I'll probably give it a little bit more than that if I jump in today. I would call this my stop loss. If it broke below 260, which that's still a 20% stop loss, so it's a big stop loss. So I would compensate that by taking a little bit smaller position. You don't want to, if you want to give these lower price stocks room to move around. But unfortunately, if you start jumping in with too big of positions with these lower price stocks, if one does move against you, it can be very damaging to your account balance. So when you get into stocks like these that are meandering around quite substantially, you just want to compensate with a little bit of a smaller position. And that also makes it easier for you to manage it, because when you get these big swings, when, of course, you get a big swing down, you're tempted to sell because you think it might be even a bigger move down coming. So if the loss isn't so big, it keeps your head on a little straighter. But I think IDEX probably be grabbing some today. I'll probably put a stop loss around under 259, and probably have a price target of $5 or more. I'll have to see how it starts moving if it does get that move to the upside. But I think IDEX looks very bullish at the moment. This is one of the few patterns that I would probably buy before the breakout, just to anticipate it, because probably the breakout is going to be a fast move. But IDEX is definitely coiling up nicely. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this one. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, please don't hesitate to leave them down there in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any future trading opportunities. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.